Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope that you guys all did amazingly on yesterday's Chapter 9 test. Today we are starting Chapter 10 and working into Chapter 11 as well. I'm sharing with you our plans for the next month and a half and when we'll be completing different items and when we'll have our tests and quizzes just like regular. So I'm going to go ahead and add this into your section. As you can tell, we're working in chapter 10 and 11. It's kind of a fun chapter. We're working with frequency tables. We're looking at equations and how to solve them a little bit easier. And then we're morphing into transforming functions and histograms and really looking at how we can show data in different ways. Our notes today are going to be on how to make a frequency table and how to make a relative frequency table as well. I'm also going to be adding a secret word at some point in each of the videos, and that secret word is going to allow you to get 5 extra credit points each and every day on your grade if you can respond to me in your classroom about what the secret word was. So in our notes today, we're talking about frequency table. And a frequency table is going to show you by looking at it how many times an item occurs and the relationship between different sets of data. So we're going to set up a survey that asks a class, do you prefer to eat pizza or burritos? Now, if we were together, we'd be raising our hands and letting me know if you prefer pizza or burritos. So I had to use last year's data instead. So which one? Just think about it. Do you like the pizza? Do you like the burritos? So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this information. And we found out that boys who prefer pizza, there were 9 of them in my class, and 10 preferred burritos. My girls, on the other hand, we had 3 that preferred pizza and 7 who preferred burritos. So we're going to go ahead and take this, and as you can see, it's a frequency table, and we're going to analyze the data. So the first thing that you have is you're going to go ahead and add the columns down. Now remember, columns are like columns on a building. So adding columns down, we're going to go ahead and add 9 plus 3 to get 12 people in the entire class who like pizza. We're going to add 10 plus 7 to get 17 people in the class who like burritos. Now, going the other direction, we're going to be finding out how to find out how many boys were in the class and how many girls were in the class. So we're going to add those rows across, and this is the label that we're adding. So we had 9 and 10, so that's 19 boys altogether. And for our girls, we had 3 and 7, so we had 10 girls altogether in the class. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to find the total number of students that took the survey. So there's a whole bunch of ways you can do this. You can add all the 4 numbers here, or you can add 12 plus 17, or you can add 19 plus 10. So as you can tell, our magic number here is that we had 29 students in my class that day taking the survey of whether they preferred to eat pizza or burritos. Now, once you have this type of table set up, you can go ahead and answer questions about who's more likely to enjoy what. So if I were to ask you, what is the percent of boys who prefer pizza, I would go ahead and my numerator is going to be the answer to the question. So the question is, how many boys like pizza? And it was 9. And we're talking about percent of boys only. So I'm going to look at this number over here because there was 19 boys. So 9 out of 19 boys preferred pizza. We're now going to go ahead and turn that into a percentage. So 9 divided by 19 is 0.474. We move our decimal point 2 to the right to turn it into our percentage, which is 47.4% of boys preferred pizza. Now we have a different question. What's the percent of students that prefer burritos? So now we're going to go ahead and deal with, it doesn't matter if they're boys or girls, but there were 17 people who preferred burritos out of 29 students that we took the survey for. So that's going to be 17 divided by 29, which is 0.586. Move your decimal point to the right to get 58.6% of students that preferred burritos. Now, finally, our third question is, what percent of girls prefer burritos? So in order to do that, we're going to go ahead and see how many girls pick burritos. That's the answer to the question, divided by the total number of girls in our survey, which is 17. So that's 7 divided by 10, which is 0.7. Move that decimal point 2 to the right to get 70% of girls prefer burritos. So this is just a very basic frequency table. We're going to talk now about a different type of frequency table called a relative frequency table. And this simply shows percentages instead of the number of students that took the survey. So we have our same setup. We have boys and girls, pizza and burritos, and we're going to use our same numbers from before, but we're going to convert into a relative frequency table. So your steps are: number one, put the raw data number that we got from the previous one divided by the total number, which was 29 in the survey. So there's 9 boys who preferred pizza out of 29, and that gives us a 9 divided by 29. We move our decimal 2 to the right to get a 31% of all of the people in my survey were boys who preferred pizza. We're going to do the same for the other 3. Boys who preferred burritos were 34.5% of the class. Girls who preferred pizza were 10.3% of the class, and girls who preferred burritos were 24.1% of the class. So all we've done is we've taken our number of people, divided it by the total number of people in the survey from the previous table, and then we change it to a percent. Now we're going to check our work. Now all of these numbers, if we add them up this way, they should all add up to 100%. Now we rounded, so it's going to be a little bit off. We can also check the total number of class percentage that preferred pizza. So we add these two together, and we know that 41.3% of the class preferred pizza, 58.6% of the class preferred burritos. Now, of the boys, what we're looking at this way doesn't have anything to do with pizzas or burritos. It's what percent of the class is boys. And that 65.5% of the class was boys. And then when we add this way going across the rows, we're finding what percent of the class was girls. And that was 34.4%. Now, once again, we can add all these 4 together, or we can add our columns together and our rows together, and that should tally to be 100%. Now you can see it's actually 99.9. As long as you're close, you are fairly confident that you didn't make an error. So what did we learn today? We learned that everyone prefers burritos. Excellent choice, Morro Bay High School. Now our magic word today to get extra credit on your grade is UCLA. I hope everyone's doing well.